And I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, but how could you misinterpret that? That person literally had the camera right, pointed at me. Hi everybody, this is Matthew Kenslow, author of Juggling the Issues Living with Asperger's Syndrome, and it is September 29th, 2020, and I have a peculiar story that I sort of want to share, so cue the music. So in this video I want to unload a story that has happened, I could be sure, 5 years ago this morning, September 29th, 2015. So I was staying up all night studying, for a big trigonometry test that wasn't even that day. I was just trying to get all the homework done in time because it was Tuesday 5 years ago. So the next day, Wednesday, was the big trigonometry test, and I still had a lot of homework I needed to get caught up on. So I was up all night studying trig, and at some point I just needed to stand up and get some fresh air and everything. I guess just to stretch my legs instead of being bogged down in mathematics, learning new mathematics and such. For hours on end. I just had to, any student's got to do that. Do not get bogged down on something, especially in science, math, physics, chemistry, biology, or anything for so many hours without taking a break. You need to have breaks. So I decided to take a break on this day. So it was Tuesday morning, so every Tuesday morning, or almost every Tuesday morning for years and years and years, all I remember is my grandfather waking up at 5 in the morning, and within the next hour he took off to go to Tuesday morning Bible study at the church. So he was already gone by this point, and I was up all night. It may have been my first or second all-nighter of the semester. The fall of 2015 I had 3 all-nighters and such, and this was one of them. And so I went outside. My grandpa is already gone. It's still, not even dawn yet. And I just look up and I see the stars and all that. Earlier that year, like February 13th or somewhere 14th or 15th, I really familiarized myself with, all the stars, the constellations, the planets, and astronomy. In fact, that's what I was taking in the fall of 2015 semester too, was not just prep to general chemistry in the lab and trigonometry, but also astronomy 100, just because I wanted to learn more about it for fun, pretty much. And I did learn a whole lot of things in astronomy 100. In fact, concurrently, and I believe I say this in my book, I was actually teaching the astronomy merit for Royal Rangers, but I will possibly be teaching that for the 3rd time coming up sometime shortly, possibly virtually on Zoom, for my outpost at Royal Rangers. And that's what I would do, throughout 2015, 2016, is just go out. It didn't matter if it was, like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, or if it was midnight, or 1 in the morning, or if it was 5 in the morning. I was just fascinated and such, and wanted to make sure I was still familiar with everything. And then one of the most peculiar things happened. I step outside and I see one of the brightest objects ever. It wasn't like a helicopter or plane or anything. It was stationary. I'm like, what the heck is that? I've been going over, the star charts in my mind and everything, I guess. And it's like, I know that's not Sirius, because Sirius is over there. Because when I stepped out, I saw the Orion, which is one of my favorite constellations, over there. And if Orion's right there, then Sirius has to be right over there. That can't be Sirius. What is it? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, no pun intended, that was our morning and evening star, Venus. It took me off guard how bright it was. And we live in the city. So I can't imagine, like, if I lived in the country or in the mountains or someplace, which would really be like a sight to see one of these days. And I knew that Venus was so bright, but I later found out it's brighter in the morning because, it's in the morning and not all the city lights have turned on yet. If it's in the evening and everything, then it's a little dimmer, but over, like, in the early morning, it's brighter and such. I come to find out right afterwards, and I just thought it was interesting. I looked further to the east, and there's Jupiter. So I went out, took a few pictures, and then a couple of, very amateur pictures of like Venus and Sirius and such. But anyway, that's basically, my norm, basically, especially in 2015 when I was first familiarizing myself with the northern constellations and everything, or the constellations of the northern hemisphere. But I went back inside, and I guess I did more trig studying. I went out again, and by this point it was like dawn and such, and it was getting like very light outside. And I probably only see like a few stars, and then Venus and Jupiter. Those were the only bright things I could see by this point. I usually always I'm like never seen with a t-shirt out in public or in a YouTube video or anything like that. I always have some button-up shirt and sometimes a polo shirt whenever I'm out in public. It's like I'm never ever seen without one of these, and I have my own convictions, my own set of beliefs about that. Well, this was in the early morning, middle of the night, and I believe I just had my t-shirt out, or t-shirt on and everything. And there's a neighbor across the street, and sometimes people have to get up like at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning for their work and everything, and so I guess he just got up and got out ready for work, I assume. And I either saw and or heard somebody get in the vehicle across the street and started to warm it up and everything, and so I'm just there, just taking in the morning air and all that, breathing, taking a deep breath, clearing my mind, and just looking up at the stars and the planets and such. And then out of nowhere, I hear that discernible sound of the car pulling out from its spot and about to drive off. And as I did so, I turned, and I kid you not, in fact I might as well show you what I saw. I like looked over, and all of a sudden this is what I see. Actually more like this, where I probably saw the forehead, and the forehead was facing me, and a cell phone pointed right at me. And I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, but it's like, I mean, how do I interpret that? How could that be interpreted that doesn't look like how it looked or something? I mean, I was still, just confused. I mean, and he was like speeding off while he was, showing me his phone like this and such. So I mean, I'm not sure if he used two hands and had zero hands on the wheel, or if he used one hand or whatnot. But he may have used two hands, one hand to press the camera button. Because, I still don't understand, but I mean, I believe that he was actually taking pictures of me. As I saw that, I immediately went down, like, completely on the sidewalk, because there was a boxwood in front of me, like where I used to live. There was, like a boxwood plant in front, kind of like hedges, basically, and I went down as fast as I could, and I stayed there for a good few seconds to make sure that I heard him go all the way down the street. And I'm like, what the heck? And anybody I mean, nobody could ever blame a person for having like paranoia after that. It's like, okay, am I going to see my picture all over social media and such for some misunderstanding because I'm a college student, a future scientist, and such, just working hard to study these things. I just needed to get out and take a break, and I was just refamiliarizing myself with the stars and the planets and everything. I don't know. Sometimes my autistic brain just rambles on like that, and you just heard that. But basically, I mean, I just don't understand now. Like with what I do with everybody, if you follow me, you know this, but I always give like nearly everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt, but how could you misinterpret that? That person literally had the camera right pointed at me, and I'm like, well, even maybe he was taking a picture of something else, but why a house? Or maybe the tree. I mean, that's always there. I mean, what if it's the sky? Is there something behind me? I mean, you can't misinterpret that. If I could just, well, I'm not even forcing myself. I do give the benefit of the doubt. What if he probably, thought I was some, creep? Just, canvassing the area, maybe planning a break-in or something, and he was just going to take that to the police. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. To this day, I've never seen that picture, and I believe I tried to search for it and such. But he might have just been trying to be a good neighbor. Okay, I mean, still, didn't he know that I lived there or saw me all these years, or I just don't know what, or maybe he just thought I was strange and he took a picture to get a kick out of it and was going to post it on the deep dark web or whatever. I don't know, but this is, how us autistics are just singled out because we can't help how we look, how we act, our posture or whatnot. A lot of people poke fun of that. So I decided to name this video, or at least my first title, I'll probably title this as a question, like singled out for having autism or a case of mistaken identity. And again, the mistaken identity I may have been mistaken for like a person who's drunk or something, just casing, or I don't know the lingo, but just canvassing the area, scouting out the area to see if I could easily break in or something, and he was just trying to be a nice guy or something. I've never heard anything since, but see, this is what's really, it really bothered me, not because it was, it wasn't the first time, well, technically it sort of was, but it wasn't the first time I got odd looks from other people. This is what's been bothering me since 2014. I really make a point in my book and in my upcoming trilogy about people staring at me. I've seen people stare at me a lot, growing up, especially I really became conscious of it probably in 2009, and it really came back in 2014. Then I realized, whoa, everybody's staring at me, and it's usually a disapproving look. It's usually a disapproving countenance. Some of them are angered, some of them seem confused, some of them seem just mad, some of them seem disgusted, some of them seem annoyed, and I'm not doing anything but just walking down, from one class to another class, or walking to my class, or walking down the neighborhood. If you've been following, my YouTube videos and also my book, I've been, laughed at, run away from, teased, and so much more, and been received comments and looked at in a peculiar way and such. And throughout 2014, 2015, I've been noticing this a lot. Like sometimes I'm turning around and I'm seeing people, I'm just like looking around, but as I look around, my eyes lock at a car, and inside the car, the person's already staring at me with a peculiar look, if that makes sense. I'm not going out like staring inside people's cars, but I look, and sometimes my eyes lock with somebody else's eyes, meaning they were staring at me first, and some of them did have this peculiar smirk to them, and it really annoyed me. Why can't people just understand what autism is and learn to accept us for who we are? That's why I'm, spending a lot of, money and time to get my book out there, to get my my YouTube videos out there, to just be a help, especially a help for the helpless when I feel helpless to help them. That's my prayer. To be an encouragement for autistic people, to be a life changer for children and teenagers, and to educate the ignorant of what autism really is. I've received the comments. I've been begged not to have children and such from people I don't even know across the seas and in America and overseas and such. So that's why I'm fighting hard. And this guy was an example of just pure ignorance and such, thinking I was probably, well, regardless, he was thinking that I was somebody that I'm not, or so. Probably thought I belonged in a circus. But anyway, that's what happened 5 years ago. I could be positive it was 5 years ago today. Started out as a memorable morning. you know, noticing that how bright Venus could get, and you know, having a very horrible, fatigue, lethargic day after that, because I had chemistry lab. So after, you know, staying up all night, I kept myself awake. I went to chemistry lab, and then I went to the tutoring center at OCC, which, I mean, they're nice and good, but they don't necessarily tutor all the time. Actually, they sort of do, but I mean, they just, it's not, I mean, for me, it wasn't a help all the time or so. And I just remember, like, I logged into the computer, opened up my trig homework and such, and I remember I almost fell asleep. I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm not used to staying up all night, and then I mean, I thought it'd be easy to, you know, stay up for the rest of the day. I was wrong on that. I was just like tired and such, and I'm like, what is happening? I mean, I have a test tomorrow, I have homework due, and then, you know, some of the tutors came, and, you know, they hardly help. They usually ask, okay, so what do you think you do here? That's why I'm here. I don't know. I mean, how did I do this? So that's my little, you know, but overall, I mean, a lot of the tutors are nice. Well, most of them, and such. But I'm just saying, I'm thankful for OCC for having, you know, the Student Success Center where they have tutoring. But I also did receive tutoring, you know, for being a special student, like DSPS, like, or disabled student, quote unquote. And you know, they helped me a lot too. Basically, long story short, I believe I ended up getting like a 99 or something in trig, or close to it. Yeah, I believe a 99% in trig. I ended up loving trig. It just takes practice and such, not giving up and everything. And if I could do that, so can you, and more. So that's my, you know, I guess, campaign rally or so when going everywhere. I mean, if I could do all these things, you can too. So anyway, have an excellent day. If you have any communications to podcast, news, radio, or anything like that, or schools in the OC area, I will be going to all NMUSD schools, probably more than once each, as well as Capistrano School District, and I'm hoping for every single school district adjacent to NMUSD and Capistrano and such. I already have my name and information down for Capistrano and probably NMUSD. So if you're in the area, please let me know if you need a speaker at my expense, or whatnot, because all I care about is making a difference in such a world, especially with people like that neighbor and such, people that just need to understand and recognize who autism is, who Asperger's are, who we are, basically. So anyway, have an excellent day, and stay strong and be blessed.